Hey, take your glasses off, right now. Just remove them. Look at the screen and try to focus on these words. If the text has gone soft, the edges fuzzy, the room suddenly distant and unclear, then you are exactly the person this video was made for. Because that helpless feeling you just experienced, that complete reliance on two tiny pieces of shaped glass sitting on your face, was not part of your life 20 years ago. And it is not a natural part of aging. It is not written in your DNA. It is the entirely predictable outcome of something that has been occurring inside your eye every single day for the past 2 decades. And I can tell you with certainty that your eye doctor has never walked you through it. Not out of negligence, but because the system never built a way to bill for it. Here is a number worth sitting with. Over the last 25 years, rates of serious vision loss in adults over 60 across the United States have nearly doubled. All while the eyewear and optical industry has expanded into a $150 billion global enterprise. More corrective lenses, more contact options, more coatings, more surgical procedures than at any previous point in recorded history. And yet more people are losing functional vision, not fewer. How does that equation make any sense? How does vision continue to deteriorate while the industry built to correct it keeps growing? The answer is resting on the bridge of your nose at this very moment. Go ahead and put your glasses back on, get comfortable, and stay with me through to the end. Because in the next 25 minutes, Dr. Lenora is going to walk you through exactly what is happening inside your eye. Why every prescription you have ever purchased has quietly set the stage for the next one. And the specific 15-minute daily routine that has reversed this cycle for adults over 60, including a 67-year-old woman whose prescription was reduced for the first time in her entire adult life. Reduced, not increased. This may be the most valuable 25 minutes you invest in your vision all year. Before we continue, please subscribe and help us reach 100,000 subscribers. We are building a resource that the conventional system simply will not provide, and every person who joins this community makes it stronger. Now picture a moment that probably happened to you recently, maybe even this week. It is evening. The kitchen light is dim. You reach for a medication bottle. You squint, rotate it, stretch your arm out, then pull it back close. Nothing sharpens. You mutter to yourself, "Where did I leave my glasses?" There is a flicker of frustration, maybe a small wave of anxiety. What happens if I misplace them entirely? Or this scenario. A restaurant, the server places the menu in front of you. The print is impossible even with your reading glasses on. You pull out your phone, activate the flashlight, hold it over the menu the way a detective examines evidence. Your grandchild is watching from across the table. They offer a polite smile. In that exact second, you feel every one of your years. These moments are not a personal failure. They are the entirely foreseeable result of a decision made about 50 years ago, a decision that the answer to a weakening eye was to hand it a permanent substitute. Think about what happens when you break your ankle, put on a cast, and simply never take it off. Not for 6 weeks, for 20 years. What condition is that leg in after 2 decades inside a cast? It wastes away. The muscle shrinks. The tissue forgets its function. That is a precise description of what has been unfolding inside your eye for years, and nobody mentioned it to you. Here is the story you were given. The lens inside your eye stiffens naturally with age. The muscle surrounding it loses strength on its own. There is nothing to be done except accept an incrementally stronger prescription every couple of years. Accept the progressive lenses. Accept the eventual conversations about cataracts. The path was laid out for you before you ever sat down in that exam chair. What was never mentioned is that there are not 1, but 6 muscles anchored to the outside of your eye, alongside a separate circular muscle inside the eye that manages focus. 7 muscles in total, and every single one of them operates under the exact same rule as every other muscle in your body. Use it or lose it. From the moment your optometrist first handed you corrective lenses, those muscles began to be relieved of their duties. The glasses reshape incoming light so the muscles no longer have to. Season after season, the muscles weaken further. The prescription climbs higher, and every 2 years you return to the exam room and pay for the next stage of that decline. Before we get to the mechanism and the daily routine, there is something you need to hear clearly because it matters more than anything else in this video. Certain eye symptoms mean you stop watching immediately and contact a doctor today, not at your next scheduled appointment today. Sudden vision loss in one eye, even briefly, can signal a stroke or a blockage in the retinal artery. Flashes at the outer edge of your vision, particularly if accompanied by a sudden cluster of new floaters, could indicate retinal detachment, a condition where hours matter. A shadow or dark curtain drifting across part of your visual field carries the same warning. Intense eye pain combined with halos around light sources and nausea can point to acute angle closure glaucoma. These are emergencies. The routine I am going to share is designed for the slow, gradual decline unrelated to these acute conditions. Learn to distinguish between them. If something feels urgently wrong, act immediately. Now let us look at what is actually taking place inside your eye. Imagine the most sophisticated autofocus camera ever constructed. One that recalibrates itself roughly 100,000 times daily, entirely without your conscious involvement. That camera is your eye, and it has been running without interruption for 60, 65, 70 years. Inside the eye, positioned just behind the iris, is a small transparent lens shaped roughly like a flattened bean. Encircling that lens is a ring of muscle called the ciliary muscle. This is the structure nobody explained to you. The ciliary muscle is your eye's autofocus engine. Looking at something in the distance, the muscle loosens and the lens spreads flat. Looking at something nearby, the muscle tightens and the lens rounds into a gentle dome to bring that close object into sharp focus. This happens automatically and instantly every time your gaze shifts from the phone to the window to the bird on the fence outside. Now follow this sequence forward. You are 45. Reading starts to require effort. You get reading glasses. The lens in the frame now performs the work the ciliary muscle previously handled. The muscle no longer needs to contract and round up the natural lens for close work because the external lens is already doing it. You wear those reading glasses for 2 hours a day, then 4, then 6. Jump ahead 20 years. You are 65. Glasses or contacts are on your face for virtually every waking hour. The ciliary muscle has not been called upon to actively focus your natural lens in any meaningful way for 2 decades. Like any muscle that spends years immobilized, it has contracted, weakened, and lost its responsiveness. The engine has stalled. This is the real reason prescriptions keep rising. It is not that your eyes are deteriorating in some mysterious, inevitable way. It is that the muscles driving them have been progressively weakened, and weaker muscles require stronger lenses indefinitely, until somebody stops the cycle. Consider a woman Dr. Lenora will refer to as Eleanor. 67 years old, she arrived at a clinic the previous winter with a problem she could not resolve on her own. Her prescription had climbed from -2.5 to -4 over 7 years. Her optometrist had advised her to return in 18 months for the next adjustment. Structurally, her eyes had been confirmed as healthy, no cataracts, no macular damage, no glaucoma. So why was her vision declining at such a pace? Eleanor had grown tired of the explanation she kept receiving. It is age. Some women simply have eyes that deteriorate faster. Adjust your expectations. So she sat down with a different clinician and described a typical day. She woke up and put on her glasses before standing. She read on her phone for an hour, glasses on. She drove to the shops, glasses on. She watched television through the entire evening, glasses on. She read before sleeping, glasses on. The only moment in 16 waking hours when those glasses came off was in the shower. The clinician asked her a single question. When did you last look at something at a real distance? A hillside, a stand of trees, an open horizon without your glasses, for more than 30 continuous seconds? Eleanor went quiet. Perhaps on a holiday 7 years prior. Perhaps not even then. Her ciliary muscle had spent 2 decades immobilized. Naturally, her vision had continued to decline. The muscle had lost the memory of its own function. The clinician designed a protocol for her. Not a cure, not a prescription eye drop. A straightforward daily sequence she committed to performing morning, midday, and evening for 90 days. 6 weeks in, Eleanor noticed she could make out price tags at the supermarket without leaning forward. 12 weeks in, her optometrist measured her prescription and, for the first time in her adult life, adjusted it downward. Down, not up. Now I want you to think of your eye not as a fixed structure of fluid and glass, but as a living organ that requires 3 things to remain healthy: movement, circulation, and light. The same 3 things every other tissue in your body depends on. Movement comes from those 7 muscles. They require full range of motion daily, the same way your knee requires full flexion and extension, or it stiffens and loses mobility. Circulation comes from the fine blood vessels running behind the retina, the light-sensitive layer at the rear of the eye. The retina carries the highest oxygen demand per unit of tissue of anything in the human body, exceeding even the brain. When circulation slows, the retina operates under stress. Light is the fuel, specifically natural outdoor light, not the blue-white output of a screen. The human eye evolved over millions of years under a full solar spectrum. When most of your waking hours pass under artificial indoor lighting, the eye is undernourished regardless of what your diet looks like. Before we get to the protocol, here are 2 quick self-assessments. Under 2 minutes combined, they will tell you where you currently stand. Assessment 1, the clock check. Find a clock or any printed text across the room, cover your right eye gently with your hand, read the clock or text using only your left eye. Notice how sharp or soft it is. Now switch. Cover the left eye, read using only the right. If one eye is noticeably worse than the other, and the majority of people over 60 do have a meaningful difference, your brain has been quietly compensating by leaning on the stronger eye while the weaker one fades further. This is called disuse amblyopia. Caught early enough, it responds to retraining. Assessment 2, the pencil near point test. Hold a pencil at arm's length directly in front of your nose. Fix your gaze on the eraser. Slowly draw it toward the tip of your nose while keeping the eraser in clear, single focus. Stop the instant it splits into 2 images. The distance in inches between that point and your nose is your near convergence point. A healthy adult can maintain single focus to within 4 inches. Most people over 60 lose it at 8 inches or beyond. The further that breaking point is from your face, the greater the degree of convergence muscle atrophy. Both of these tests reveal real measurable weakness. Both of them respond to consistent work. That is the critical point. 3 foods are silently working against your eyes every day, and 3 others are actively protecting them. The threats first, refined sugar. Every blood sugar spike causes the tiny vessels behind the retina to briefly constrict and then leak. Across decades, this damages a structure called the macula, the central zone of the retina responsible for sharp, detailed vision. Most age-related macular degeneration in people over 60 has roots in 40 years of unmonitored blood sugar fluctuations. Second, industrial seed oils. Soybean, corn, and canola oils appear in nearly every commercial fryer and packaged product on supermarket shelves. These oils generate inflammatory compounds that build up in eye tissue over time. The retina, already operating under high oxidative demand, tends to show the effects early. Third, chronic low-level dehydration. The eye is cushioned and sustained by fluid called the vitreous. As we age, the thirst signal becomes less reliable, and most people drink less than their body requires without noticing. The The vitreous thickens slightly, and oxygen delivery to the retinal tissue decreases. Now the protectors. Egg yolks, specifically the yolk rather than the white. Yolks contain two carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin, that deposit directly into the macula and function like an internal filter against harmful blue light. 2 yolks daily is a meaningful dose. Cooked spinach or kale prepared with a tablespoon of olive oil. The same carotenoids appear here in even higher concentrations. Dietary fat is essential for their absorption, so steaming greens without any fat largely wastes that benefit. Wild-caught salmon or sardines twice weekly. The omega-3 fatty acids DHA and EPA are structural components of the retina itself. Without sufficient DHA, the retina is essentially short on raw building material for its own maintenance. Now the protocol. 1 sequence, 4 components. Every day, 15 minutes total. No equipment required, no cost. Morning, the 20-20-20 rebuild. Within the first hour after waking, do the following. Stand at a window. Select a distant reference point, a tree, a building, a street light at the end of the block. Hold your gaze on it for 20 seconds without straining. Then shift your focus to the tip of your own nose. Hold for 20 seconds. Then return to the far point. 20 seconds. Repeat this 5 times. This pulls the ciliary muscle through its complete range, full contraction and full relaxation, the visual equivalent of a knee bending and fully straightening. 5 minutes. Done. Daytime, glasses-free intervals. 3 times through the day in a safe and stationary setting at the kitchen table. On the back porch, in the living room, remove your glasses for 10 minutes. During that time, let your eyes move around the space naturally. Do not force clarity. Do not strain. Simply exist without the corrective lenses. This is the moment the cast starts to come off. The muscles reawaken. Eye mobility work. 3 times daily while seated safely. Eyes open, head still. Look upward as far as your eyes travel without moving your head. Hold 5 seconds. Look downward. Hold 5. Far right. 5. Far left. 5. Then the diagonals. Upper right. Lower left, upper left, lower right. 5 seconds at each position, then slowly trace a figure 8 on its side, the infinity symbol using your eyes alone. 3 passes in one direction, 3 in the other, 2 minutes. All 6 external eye muscles receive full range of motion work. Evening, palming. Sit at a table. Rub your palms together briskly for 20 seconds until they feel genuinely warm. Place them gently cupped over your closed eyes. No pressure against the eyeball itself, only warmth and complete darkness. Hold this for 2 full minutes. Breathe slowly and steadily. This releases tension in the ciliary muscle, improves circulation to the tissue behind the eye, and sends a clear end-of-day reset signal to the visual system. Before bed, the hydration check. 1 full glass of water at room temperature, sipped slowly over 10 minutes. The eye performs a significant portion of its overnight repair and maintenance work during sleep. Going to bed in a dehydrated state is like asking the night crew to work without supplies. That is the complete protocol. 5 minutes in the morning, 8 minutes distributed through the day, 2 minutes in the evening, 15 minutes daily for a minimum of 90 days. Eye muscle responds to consistent, measured effort exactly the way every other muscle does. Progress is gradual, then it becomes noticeable. What this protocol is not, it is not permission to discard your glasses. If you need corrective lenses to drive safely, wear them. If you need them to read a medication label accurately, wear them. The goal is not to eliminate your glasses. The goal is to give the eye muscles 15 minutes of real active work each day so they stop atrophying while the lenses handle everything. If you have had cataract surgery, carry a diagnosis of glaucoma, have experienced retinal detachment, live with diabetic retinopathy, or have macular degeneration, speak with your eye care provider before beginning any eye exercise practice. None of these exercises are inherently harmful to those conditions, but when a diagnosed eye disease is present, the sequence matters. Get clearance before you begin. Here is what to do tonight before you sleep. 1. Run the clock check on each eye separately. Write down which eye is weaker. You now know which side your brain has been quietly compensating for. 2. Do the pencil near point test. Record the distance in inches where the image splits. That is your starting point. 3. Tomorrow morning, run the first session of 20-20-20. 5 cycles, 5 minutes. Window, far target, nose tip, far target. 4. Eliminate one source of refined sugar from your day. The biscuit at 3 in the afternoon. The dessert after dinner, 1 item, removed. 5. Tomorrow afternoon, sit somewhere safe and remove your glasses for 10 minutes. Do not try to read anything. Just allow your eyes to exist without assistance. Let the muscles remember what they were built for. Repeat this for 90 days. Retest the pencil near point at day 30 and again at day 90. Watch what happens to that measurement. One final thing before we close. Do something small for Dr. Lenora in the comments below. Tell your age, just the number, and tell where you are watching from. The state, the country, the small town, the city. Every comment gets read and it genuinely shapes the content built for you next. The more that is understood about who is on the other side of this screen and where you are in life, the more precisely the next video can be built around what you actually need to hear. And if this gave you something useful, pass it to one person in your life who is fighting their prescription, a neighbor, a sibling, a partner. You may have just given them something worth more than their next eye exam.